Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Sahara Omar. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist practicing here in the state of Texas. In today's video, I wanted to share with you guys what is truly a trauma recovery. Like what do we mean by that when you hear that word? And what does it actually look like, the effort that we have to put in, like what decisions are we making to actually truly recover and come out of this trauma loop that we can find ourselves stuck in, okay? So before I dive into the actual process, I wanted to take a step back and kind of remind you guys, this is a journey in itself, so it does take time, right? So all journeys, unfortunately, are full of like ups and downs and sometimes relapses. So being kind to yourself is crucial. Practicing self-compassion is also crucial, and not forcing yourself to make a decision overnight. It does take time in this way. So just being slower in your overall well-being and actually the way you take care of yourself is very crucial. Okay. Now to the process itself, right? So I meet clients who experience like one single event. When we think of trauma, I want you guys to get in the habit of just seeing trauma as pain, specifically unwanted pain that shakes you to your core, right? It could be one event like a car accident or like anything major like that, like work injury or anything like that. Or it could be an actual abuse or assault or repeat abuse and repeat assault as well from a human being, right? So nevertheless, the brain will operate the same way. It cannot tell the difference because the brain just knows pain as pain, right? It doesn't differentiate what type of pain it is. It just hurts, essentially, right? So I like to show this diagram to my clients, and all the video diagrams that I share with you guys are things that I actually use and draw to my clients. And the feedback that I gain from my clients is what inspires me to create these visual representations and share with you guys as well. All right, so let's say this person is walking, and I'll give you guys a real example at the end of this video just so you can see what it looks like as well. So this person, let's say they have a trigger. It could be a person or an actual event. Right away, this person is going to jump into, I call this space the emptiness or the doom space, essentially, right? Like where your brain is split into the two ends of the spectrum. People who have like personality disorders sometimes are reminded that they have like splitness to them where they are hot and cold, in and out. That's what we're talking about here, right? But typically the person's brain is just kind of sitting in this loop of, do I confront or do I take self-closure path, right? And the challenge is to make a decision, right? Like we have to choose what path is going to get us out of this loop. Otherwise we will continue to stay in this weird, empty, dark space, essentially, okay? If we take the option one, the confronting path, right? I typically highly recommend do not confront people or individuals specifically when we think of like trauma related to from a person. If you know the person is not going to validate and take full accountability, right? And full accountability sounds like this. When I did X, Y, and Z to you, it was not okay. And I'm truly sorry that I showed up in that way. And I'm truly sorry that I hurt you in that way, right? So there is true genuineness, accountability of, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that again, and it wasn't your fault. If that is something that you can know for sure, the person can give it to you, that's awesome, because that will bring a sense of closure. You will feel whatever emotions that come up. Your brain can realize in that moment, it was never you. You didn't cause anything to this person to let them cross that boundary for you, okay? If it's an event, we usually recommend to our clients to confront that event. Like we have to go there, recall the memory, allow ourselves to sit in that emotion and feel the sadness that comes up. Usually it's sadness and anger that usually is behind those primary two emotions. Is the ones that I see when it comes down to trauma recovery, because trauma naturally opens the grief cycle and you have to go through the grief cycle because your brain is realizing, wow, I'm not in control of life as I think I do, essentially, right? However, if you cannot guarantee yourself that the person who hurt you will take any accountability, I usually recommend self-closure. And here's why. if you confront people and they have not been to therapy, they're not saved by Christ, there is no love in them, there's no true accountability, they're going to gaslight you. They're going to minimize your experience. They're going to say things like you're being too sensitive, it was just a joke, or that's what we all do, or you're being too baby. Like very much so they'll find a way to just flip it back on you. And now all of a sudden it's your fault for even bringing it up, right? And this creates a secondary path of more secondary emptiness, essentially, or a loop where your brain now has to deal with the fact that I've been hurt by this person, and now the secondary pain of being denied of any closure from them as well, okay? I personally like the self-closure path. Self-closure path is a little bit more slower. It does take time, but it requires you as an individual to go back and relabel this event for yourself. What do you want to label this? Do you want to label this as a personality disorder? Do you want to label this as a person who's not saved by God? Do you want to label this as a person who just does not know what healing is because they've never been to therapy and they don't understand what they did is wrong, right? You get to, this is the powerful part of like us taking accountability of our journeys. You get to label why this person hurt you, right? And I do want to just make a disclaimer. Typically, people who hurt people lack empathy. Otherwise, there will be no pain in this world, right? In general, because people will understand like, hey, before I say this, before I do this, maybe I should consider this person, right? But people who, like, for example, ghost you or physically assault you or sexually abuse you or anything like that, they just are extremely selfish. They only care about themselves. There's no consideration, hey, I could hurt this person, right? So with self-closure, it is a slower path, but you get to decide what meaning do you want to attach to this experience, okay? And it will also, this is the fascinating part about self-closure, it will guarantee you to get you to peace. It will guarantee you to get you to that wholeness, because you're no longer carrying this one thing where people stay in this loop usually have, which is hope. When we have hope, the younger self is waiting every single day for the person that hurt us to come around and apologize and take full accountability. But with self-closure path, you are literally letting go of that hope, and you're reminding yourself this person is not going to take that accountability. And that alone is sadness in itself, right? Because imagine, right, like the person who hurt you is not willing to take that accountability. So with that being said, with this one, if you can guarantee yourself the confronting path, go for it. It is faster because the person is going to take accountability, hopefully, and you your brain is reminded itself that you were never the problem, or the self-closure, which does take a little bit longer time, but you'll get to a place where your brain knows you're not the problem because you assign a label to it, okay? Now, the challenge, I want to give you guys a personal example first, and I'll tell you what I see with my clients as well. With a good example of this, let's say dad was emotionally absent most of your life, and you had a mom that was either verbally abusive or physically abusive towards you because she put all of that anger and resentment that she had towards your dad towards you, essentially, right? Now, when we are healing from father wound and mother wound, we have to address each person separately, right? So I'm going to use the father, for example, for a little bit here. So you either have an option to confront your dad and let him know how his absentee affected you, right? Like how him not being there impacted you. If he's truly empathic and he has a heart and he's a genuine human being, he might take full accountability and say, you know, you're right, I should have not left you alone with your mom, and I should have divorced mom, and I should, right? Like there is this sense of like true accountability. Or you can choose the self-closure path and label your dad, for example, that is passive person who doesn't have a backbone and he allowed mom to run the show, and that's a good enough meaning, right? Or you can find more meanings to however you want to assign it to, but that's what it looks like, right? So I either tell myself the story of why this person hurt me, or I go to them and tell them how they impacted me, right? The biggest struggle I see in therapy when we talk about trauma recovery is making a decision. Most people flip-flop between those two spaces because of that hope, right? So they want to confront, but they're like, maybe it's not the right time. I'm going to wait and go to the closure path. And halfway through the closure, that's when they relapse and they have the hope again, and they want to address and confront the person as well, right? Truly, this process can be accelerated tremendously when you get to a place and let go of that hope. But the question becomes, what do you need to let go of that hope, right? And that alone is a question that kind of holds people hostage, if you think about it on a psychological level, because especially when it comes down to our parents, I see it a lot, and also I've seen it a lot with romantic partners. Because of what society teaches us about relationships and how to hold on to familiar relationships, there is a little bit more extended hope in those relationships compared to like friendship and colleagues and work environment. People can easily make a decision. But when it's a familiar, personal relationship, it is a little bit more, I see a little bit more like this hope fantasy of like maybe one day they'll come around, maybe one day they will take accountability. And unfortunately, they will not do that, right? And it's up to you if you want to just keep flip-flopping between those two spaces and try to, maybe one day something will come out of it, or actually make a decision. And hopefully if you have a good therapist, they'll challenge you to make a decision. And it does take time. On average, I see anywhere from 6 months to a year. Sometimes I highly recommend just give yourself another year or so on top of that. 2 years is a good enough time to recover from any traumas that we've been through. I've seen few clients who've been like abused from day that they were born all the way to like 11 years old or 10 years old. In those cases, we can push the timeline to maybe 3 or 4 years before the brain can feel safe again, because of how the level of abuse was just very repetitive, right? But if we had like 1 or 2 events here and there, or the events were not as repetitive, we can truly recover. We just have to make a decision, okay? All right, I hope you guys are enjoying this video or enjoyed this video. Feel free to hit that thumbs up. Leave a comment for me as well too, and feel free to share this video with others. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.